Jin sat on the porch of his small cabin, cleaning his hunting knife. The morning sun cast long shadows across the forest clearing. His home stood far from the main colony, just how he liked it. People talked too much. They asked too many questions about his past. A screech from above made him look up. A large bird circled the cabin once, then swooped down to land on the wooden railing. Its feathers were deep black with hints of blue. Sharp golden eyes watched Jin with clear intelligence. "Found something, Hack?" Jin asked. The bird dropped a small metal object from its beak. Jin picked it up, turning it over in his hand. A piece of tech, not from the colony. He frowned. Hack was no ordinary bird. He stood 3 times larger than Earth's biggest eagles, with a wingspan that could shade a grown man. His talons could tear through metal, and his mind was sharp in ways that still surprised Jin. The scientists had made him well before they died in the lab explosion. Jin had found the injured bird in the wreckage and nursed him back to health. They had been together ever since. Jin tucked the metal piece into his pocket. "Let's check the north border." The colony sat in a large valley on this distant planet. Earth had sent them here 10 years ago to start a new farming outpost. Jin had arrived 5 years later, looking for a quiet place to forget his military past. The colony leaders had been happy to have a former Special Forces soldier help with security. That changed when they learned why he had left Earth. Jin and Hack walked through the thick forest. The trees here had purple leaves and silver bark, but they worked well for cover just like Earth trees. Old habits. Jin still moved like a soldier, stepping carefully, staying aware. Hack flew ahead, gliding between trees with perfect grace. The bond between them went beyond training. Sometimes Jin thought the bird could read his mind. Perhaps the scientists had meant for that to happen. They reached a ridge that overlooked the northern farms. From here, Jin could see the Forbes family's crops and their small house. Smoke rose from the chimney. Normal morning. Hack landed beside him. Feathers ruffled. The bird's head tilted, listening to something Jin couldn't hear. "What is it?" Jin asked, reaching for his binoculars. Through the lenses, he scanned the farm. The front doors stood open. No one moved in the fields. The family's rover sat half-packed with supplies. "Something's wrong," Jin muttered. Hack screeched in agreement, wings spreading wide. Jin pulled his old service pistol from his belt. The colony rules said he shouldn't have kept it, but rules wouldn't protect these people. He started down the ridge, moving fast but silent. They reached the farm 20 minutes later. Jin signaled for Hack to circle high, watching for danger. The bird understood perfectly, rising on a warm air current until he was just a dark speck against the blue sky. Jin approached the house, pistol ready. He'd seen war, he'd seen death, but what waited inside the Forbes home made his blood run cold. The family lay scattered across the kitchen floor. Their bodies had been cut open with surgical precision. Parts were missing. No human did this. A strange smell hung in the air, like burnt metal, and something sweet. Jin had never smelled anything like it on this planet before. A sharp warning cry came from above. Hack had spotted something. Jin rushed outside in time to see 3 figures disappearing into the tree line across the field. They moved too fast, with too many limbs. Their bodies gleamed like polished armor in the sunlight. In his years of military service, Jin had never seen creatures like these, but he recognized hunters when he saw them. And now, they were hunting his people. Hack landed beside him, wings spread wide, ready for battle. Jin placed a hand on the bird's neck, feeling the powerful muscles beneath the feathers. "Looks like our quiet life is over, old friend," Jin said softly. "Time to remember who we really are." Hack's golden eyes met his, filled with the same deadly purpose. The bird understood. They were both predators at heart, and something had just invaded their territory. Jin moved through the forest like a shadow. Hack flew silently overhead, golden eyes missing nothing. They had been tracking the strange creatures for 3 hours, following the trail from the Forbes farm. The trail led to a clearing 2 miles from the colony's main settlement. Jin crouched behind a fallen tree and raised his binoculars. What he saw made his heart beat faster. A ship, unlike any human craft, sat in the clearing. It was shaped like a black teardrop, its surface covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move. Around it, 6 of the creatures moved with quick, jerky steps. Up close, they looked even less human. Their bodies were covered in hard plates that shone like metal but moved like skin. Each had 4 arms and 2 legs, with heads that reminded Jin of giant insects. They stood taller than any man. One creature carried something over its shoulder. Jin adjusted his binoculars to see better. It was a human body. The creature tossed it onto a pile near the ship. Jin counted 5 bodies. Colony members. Jin felt cold anger rise inside him. These things were hunting humans for sport. A soft sound made Jin turn. 20 feet away, another creature emerged from the trees. It dragged something. No, someone. A person still alive, fighting weakly against its grip. Jin recognized her. Sue, the colony's plant scientist. She had been kind to Jin when others avoided him. She had even brought food for Hack, curious about the unusual bird. The creature dragged Sue toward the ship. Jin had seen enough. He whistled softly, a signal to Hack. The bird circled once, then flew higher, disappearing against the bright sky. Jin checked his pistol. 8 rounds. Not much against creatures with natural armor. He would need to be smart. He moved to the edge of the clearing, watching the aliens. They seemed to communicate with clicks and hisses. One stood apart from the others, its body plates a deeper color. The leader, Jin guessed. The creature holding Sue reached the ship. It threw her down next to the pile of bodies. She tried to crawl away, but another alien grabbed her arm. Jin grabbed a rock and threw it far to the right of the clearing. It crashed through branches, drawing the attention of 2 aliens. They moved toward the sound, weapons ready. The moment they entered the trees, Hack struck. The giant bird dropped from the sky, silent as death. His powerful talons closed around the head of one alien, crushing its insect-like face. Before the second could react, Hack's sharp beak tore into the joint between its neck and shoulder. Green liquid sprayed from the wounds. The alien fell. The commotion caught the attention of the others. The leader made a high-pitched sound, and 2 more aliens ran toward the trees. This was Jin's chance. While they were distracted, he sprinted across the clearing toward Sue. The alien guarding her turned, raising a weapon that looked like a curved spine. Jin fired 3 shots. The first 2 bounced off the creature's armor, but the third hit the joint of its arm. The alien dropped its weapon, green fluid leaking from the wound. Jin fired again, aiming for the same spot. The alien fell back. "Run," Jin shouted to Sue, helping her to her feet. Jin. Her eyes were wide with fear and surprise. "What are these things?" "Talk later. Move now." He pulled her toward the trees as the remaining aliens rushed toward them. From above, Hack screeched and dove again, crashing into the leader. The bird's talons slashed at the alien's face, finding the spots between its armor plates. Jin and Sue reached the edge of the forest. Behind them, the alien leader threw Hack off, but the damage was done. Green fluid poured from its wounds as it stumbled back. The leader made a new sound, not a command, but something that sounded like rage. It pointed at Jin with one of its 4 arms. Jin met its gaze across the clearing. The hunter had become the hunted, and it didn't like that at all. Jin paced back and forth in Commander Han's office. The colony's leader sat behind his desk, face tight with worry. 4 other council members stood nearby, watching Jin with doubt in their eyes. Alien hunters. Commander Han shook his head. "This sounds like one of your war stories, Jin." "I know what I saw," Jin said. "They killed the Forbes family. They took their bodies like trophies. Ask Sue if you don't believe me." Sue sat in the corner, a blanket around her shoulders. Her hands still shook from the attack. I saw them too, she said. They aren't human. They want to hunt us. One council member, a tall woman named Mai, stepped forward. Even if this is true, what can we do? We're farmers, not soldiers. Jin looked at them all. These people had pushed him to the edge of the colony because of his past. Now they needed the very skills they feared. We fight, Jin said simply. Commander Han laughed without humor. With what? Garden tools. We have a few guns for protection against wild animals, but nothing that could stop what you describe. Jin was about to answer when the room's computer screen lit up. A warning signal flashed red. Emergency call from South Colony, said the computer voice. Commander Han rushed to the screen and pressed a button. A man's face appeared, covered in dirt and blood. They're here, the man shouted. Strange creatures attacking. The screen went black. The room fell silent. Commander Han's face turned pale. Now do you believe me? Jin asked. Commander Han nodded slowly. What do you suggest? First, we need to know more about them. Sue, you're good with computers. Can you check if any satellites picked up their ship landing? Sue nodded and moved to a computer terminal. Second, we need to prepare the people. Get everyone inside the main buildings. Gather all weapons. May frowned and put you in charge. After what happened on Earth. Jin met her gaze. I did what was needed to save my team. I'll do the same here. Commander Han raised his hand to stop the argument. Jin, I can't put you in command, but I need your help with the evacuation plan. Mai will organize our defenses. Jin wanted to argue, but knew it would waste time. Fine, I'll help with evacuation. As the meeting ended, Jin walked outside. Hack circled above, watching for danger. Jin whistled, and the bird swooped down to land on his arm. They won't listen, Jin told the bird. We'll have to do this our way. That night, Jin packed his old military gear, weapons, night vision, communication devices he had kept hidden. He studied a map of the area around both colonies. A soft knock at his door surprised him. Jin opened it to find Sue standing there. I found something, she said, stepping inside. The satellite did catch images of their ship, not just one ship, 3 of them. They landed in different areas. Jin studied the images on her tablet. They're surrounding us. There's more, Sue continued. I've been studying the dead alien Hack killed. Their bodies produce strange chemicals. I think they communicate through smells and sounds we can't hear. Jin looked at Hack, who sat cleaning his feathers. But Hack can hear them, can't he? That's why he was acting strange before we found the farm. Sue nodded. His genetic modifications must have given him better hearing. Jin thought for a moment. This gives us an advantage. We can know when they're coming before they arrive. What are you planning? Sue asked, noticing Jin's packed gear. Commander Han wants me to help with evacuation. I will. But Hack and I are also going hunting. Sue looked worried. Alone? That's suicide. Jin checked his weapons one last time. Not hunting like humans, hunting like them. Pick targets. Strike fast. Disappear. Hack screeched in agreement, his golden eyes gleaming in the dim light. The aliens think they're the predators here, Jin said. Time to show them they're wrong. 3 days had passed since the first attack. Jin moved quietly through the colony's main building, using the early morning darkness as cover. Most people were still sleeping. Good. He needed time alone. The archives room was locked, but Jin had borrowed Commander Han's access card while helping with evacuation plans. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Jin slipped inside and turned on a small light. Rows of computer terminals filled the room. The colony kept all its records here, including files marked classified. He sat at a terminal and inserted a small drive Sue had given him. It would help him get past the security blocks. Find files about Project Raptor, Jin whispered to himself as he typed. He had always wondered about Hack's origins. The bird was clearly engineered, but for what purpose? After seeing how Hack could detect the aliens before humans could, Jin needed answers. The screen flashed green as files appeared. Jin began to read. Outside the colony walls, Hack circled in the night sky. The bird could see in almost complete darkness. Another special ability. He watched for any sign of the alien hunters. Back in the archives, Jin's face grew pale as he read. Project Raptor wasn't just about creating better birds. It was about making living weapons for war. Subjects bonded with human handlers at genetic level. Enhanced senses detect enemy communications. Talons designed to pierce advanced armor. Jin downloaded the files and erased his tracks. Now he understood why Hack had survived the lab explosion that killed the scientists. The bird had been built to survive anything. As Jin left the archives, his communicator buzzed. It was Sue. "Jin, I need to show you something. Come to my lab." 10 minutes later, Jin entered Sue's lab in the science wing. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "What did you find?" Jin asked. Sue pointed to a screen showing strange patterns. "I've been studying the aliens' body. Their blood contains tiny machines, nanobots. They collect data." "What kind of data?" "Biological data. Human DNA, tissue samples, brain patterns." Sue looked up at Jin. "They're not just hunting us. They're studying us." Jin thought about the bodies at the Forbes farm, cut open with surgical precision. "Why would they need to study humans?" he asked. "I don't know, but I found something else." Sue pulled out another tablet. "This is from the colony records. 2 years ago, a military transport reported fighting off unknown hostiles near the Centauri system. The description matches our aliens." Jin's mind raced. So they've encountered humans before. And humans fought back successfully. Sue nodded. "Maybe they want to learn our weaknesses." Jin's communicator beeped, an alert from the motion sensors he had placed around the colony. Something was moving outside the west wall. "I have to go," Jin said, checking his weapon. "Be careful," Sue said, touching his arm. "These things are smarter than we thought." Jin slipped out through a back door. Hack appeared almost instantly, landing on a roof nearby. The bird made a low clicking sound. A warning. Jin tapped his earpiece. "Meh, this is Jin. Possible contact at West Wall. Keep everyone inside." "This better not be another false alarm," Mei's voice crackled back. Jin moved toward the west wall, staying in shadows. He whistled softly, and Hack flew ahead to scout. A moment later, Jin heard a screeching cry. Hack had found something. Jin ran toward the sound, gun ready. He rounded a corner to see Hack diving at 3 alien figures. The bird's talons slashed at one alien's face, sending it stumbling back. The other 2 aliens raised weapons, firing glowing darts at Hack. The bird dodged with impossible speed. Jin aimed carefully and fired. His bullet hit an alien's leg joint, causing green fluid to spray out. The creature fell. Now Jin understood why Hack was so effective against them. The bird had been created to fight enemies with armor. The aliens didn't stand a chance against a weapon designed specifically to kill things like them. The dance had turned in their favor. Commander Han called an emergency meeting in the colony's main hall. Reports of attacks had come from 3 more settlements. The alien hunters were spreading across the planet. Jin stood at the back of the room. People who once avoided him now looked to him with hope. His fight at the West Wall had saved lives. Everyone knew it. Commander Han pointed to a large map on the screen. "The aliens have hit these areas. We've lost contact with 2 smaller outposts." "How many people have we lost?" someone asked. "At least 30, Commander Han said. His voice was heavy. "Maybe more." Jin stepped forward. "We need to stop playing defense. We need to hit them first." The room fell quiet. Commander Han looked at Jin for a long moment. "You were right about the threat," he admitted. "What do you suggest?" Before Jin could answer, the door opened. A tall man in a military uniform walked in. "Lieutenant Tay, head of the colony's small security force." "Sir." Ta said to Commander Han, "My team is ready to patrol the perimeter. We don't need outside help." He glanced at Jin with cold eyes. Jin knew that look. Ta was a by-the-book officer who didn't trust Jin's combat record. Commander Han shook his head. "This is bigger than perimeter patrols, Lieutenant. Jin has fought these creatures. He knows their weaknesses. So does his bird." Sue added from her seat. "Hack can detect them before our sensors can." Ta frowned. "You want us to rely on a wild animal." "Hack is more than an animal," Jin said. "He was engineered to fight." Commander Han held up his hand to stop the argument. "I've made my decision. Jin will lead a special team to track and engage the aliens. Lieutenant Ta will coordinate with him." Tay's face tightened, but he nodded. "Yes, sir." After the meeting, Jin and Ta stood outside, not looking at each other. "I don't trust you," Ta said finally. "I know about your last mission on Earth. You disobeyed orders." Jin turned to face him. "Those orders would have gotten my whole team killed. Sometimes you have to break rules to save lives." "Rules exist for a reason," Tai insisted. Their argument was cut short by an alarm. Red lights flashed across the colony. "Breach at the south entrance." A voice called over the speakers. Jin and Tai ran toward the sound, drawing their weapons. When they reached the south entrance, they found chaos. 2 aliens had broken through the door. One held a colonist in its claws. Ta fired at the aliens, but his bullets bounced off their armor. "Aim for the joints," Jin shouted, firing his own weapon. His shot hit one alien where its arm connected to its shoulder. Green fluid spurted out. Jin whistled sharply. Seconds later, Hack swooped through the broken door. The bird slammed into the second alien, knocking it away from the colonist. The alien turned its attention to Hack, swinging a blade-like weapon. Hack dodged with incredible speed. Jin moved to help, but the first alien charged at him. He ducked under its attack and fired up into its jaw. Another weak spot. Tay rushed to help the injured colonist. He didn't see the third alien enter behind him. "Ta, behind you," Jin shouted. Tay turned too late. The alien swung a weapon at his head. Jin tackled Ta out of the way, taking the blow on his shoulder instead. Pain shot through Jin's body. Hack screeched in fury. The bird abandoned his first target and flew at the new threat, talons extended. He slashed at the alien's eyes, finding the gap in its armored face. The alien stumbled back, green blood pouring from its wounds. It fell to the ground, twitching. Jin helped Ta to his feet. "You okay?" Ta looked at Jin with new eyes. "You saved my life." "That's what teammates do," Jin said. Later, in the medical room, Sue bandaged Jin's shoulder. The cut was deep but would heal. "Ta is telling everyone how you saved him," Sue said. "I think he's starting to respect you." Jin watched Hack through the window. The bird stood guard on a nearby roof. "Respect won't keep us alive," Jin said. "But it's a start." Jin stood alone in the forest clearing, his breathing slow and steady. 5 alien bodies lay around him, their green blood soaking into the purple leaves on the ground. His hand shook slightly as he reloaded his weapon. This had been the 3rd alien hunting party he had attacked this week. Each time, he left none alive. Each time, the killing came easier to him. Hack landed on a fallen tree nearby. The bird's feathers were speckled with green alien blood. He made a soft trilling sound, as if asking if Jin was okay. "I'm fine," Jin said, though he wasn't sure if that was true. When he had first come to this colony, Jin had tried to leave his violent past behind. He had wanted peace. Now he had fallen back into the role he knew best, a killer. Jin collected some alien technology from the bodies and headed back toward the colony. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees. At the colony gate, Lieutenant Todd waited for him. The officer's face had lost its hard edge in the past week. Fighting side by side changes how people see each other. "Another successful hunt?" Tai asked. Jin nodded, handing over the alien devices. 5 less hunters to worry about. Commander Han wants to see you, Ta said, walking beside Jin. Sue has made a discovery. They found Sue in her lab, bent over a computer screen. Commander Han stood nearby, his face grim. Jin, Sue said, looking up. I've decoded some of the alien data storage we recovered. It's worse than we thought. She turned the screen toward them. It showed images of humans being studied, cut open, examined. These aren't just hunts, Sue explained. They're research missions. The aliens, they call themselves the Vex, have encountered humans before. They were defeated badly. Good, Ta said. They should fear us. No, not good, Sue continued. They're studying us to find weaknesses. They want revenge, and they've called for reinforcements. Jin felt cold dread in his stomach. How many? A mothership, Commander Han said, in orbit around our planet. Thousands of them, waiting. The room fell silent. Jin looked out the window where Hack perched on a roof, watching the sky. There's one more thing, Sue said quietly. The data shows they're especially interested in you, Jin, and Hack. They've never seen anything like your partnership before. It scares them. Jin wasn't surprised. The aliens were hunters. They understood predators, and in Jin and Hack, they had met predators that could match them. We need to evacuate, Commander Han said. Get everyone to the emergency ships. They'll follow us, Jin said. Hunt us across the stars. What choice do we have? Tai asked. Jin looked at the alien data on the screen again. We take the fight to them, to their mothership. Everyone stared at him. That's suicide, Ta said. Later that night, Jin sat on his cabin porch. Hack rested beside him, the bird's body warm against his leg. A soft footstep made Jin look up. Sue walked toward him, carrying a small medical kit. Your wounds need cleaning, she said, sitting beside him. As she tended to the cuts on his arm, Jin stared at the stars. I'm becoming what I tried to leave behind, he said suddenly. A killer. Sue's hands paused. You're protecting people. By doing what I do best, taking lives. Jin looked at Hack. Maybe we're both just weapons, made for war. Sue shook her head. A weapon doesn't choose how it's used. You do. Hack does. That's the difference. She pointed to the sky. The Vex kill because that's all they know. You kill to protect others. Hack could have stayed wild after the lab explosion, but he chose to stay with you, to help you. Jin had never thought of it that way. Your ability to fight isn't what defines you, Sue said. It's why you fight that matters. Hack made a soft sound and pressed closer to Jin, as if agreeing. Jin looked up at the night sky again, knowing the Vex mothership was up there, waiting. His path was clear now. Tomorrow, he said, we plan our attack. The colony's main hall was filled with tense faces. Jin stood at the front, pointing to a large screen that showed their plan. The Vex land their transport ships here, and here, Jin said, marking spots on the map. We've destroyed 5 of them so far, but they keep sending more. Commander Han nodded. Our scouts report at least 10 new landing sites in the past day. Jin moved to the next image. A rough sketch of the Vex mothership based on data Sue had collected. We need to hit them at their source, Jin said. This is our plan. We capture a Vex transport ship. We use it to reach the mothership. Then we destroy it from inside. Murmurs filled the room. The plan sounded impossible. Lieutenant Ta stepped forward. I've reviewed Jin's plan. It's risky, but it can work. I volunteer to go. Jin looked at Ta with surprise. A week ago, the man had hated him. I'll go too, Sue said, standing. You need me to navigate their technology. Commander Han frowned. It's too dangerous. We can't risk our head scientist. With respect, sir, Sue replied. No one else understands Vex systems like I do. And she glanced at Jin. I've been working on something that might help us. Commander Han thought for a moment, then nodded. All right. Jin, Ta, Su, and a small team. You leave tomorrow at dawn. As people filed out of the hall, Jin walked to a quiet corner where Hack waited. The bird seemed restless, shifting from foot to foot. What's wrong? Jin asked his partner. Hack made a series of clicks and low calls. He kept looking toward the sky. He senses something, Su said, walking up behind Jin. The Vex use subsonic communications. Hack can hear them. Are they planning an attack? Jin asked. Su shook her head. I don't think so. But something is happening up there. She pointed to the sky. The mothership is getting ready for something big. At dawn the next day, Jin's team gathered at the edge of the colony. 6 people total. Jin, Hack, Su, Tai, and 2 security officers named Da and Kun. They all carried weapons and supplies. Our scouts found a Vex transport ship that landed last night, Ta said, checking his gun. It's 3 miles east, in the Red Rock Canyon. They moved through the forest quickly and quietly. Hack flew ahead, scouting the path. The bird returned often, landing on Jin's arm to report what he had seen through a series of soft calls. He says the ship is guarded by 4 Vex. Jin translated. Tai looked skeptical. You can understand all that from some bird noises. Jin nodded. We've been together a long time. They reached the edge of the canyon and took cover behind large red rocks. Below, the black teardrop-shaped Vex ship sat gleaming in the morning sun. 4 tall Vex moved around it, checking equipment. How do we get past the guards? Da whispered. Jin looked at Su. Show them what you've been working on. Su opened her pack and pulled out 4 small devices. Vex disruptors, she explained. They emit the same frequencies the Vex use to communicate, but scrambled. It should confuse them. She handed one to each team member except Jin and Hack. Why doesn't Jin get one? Kun asked. Because, Su said, Jin and Hack are the distraction. Jin checked his weapons one last time. Ready? He asked Hack. The bird made a sharp cry and spread his wings wide. Now, Jin shouted. He and Hack burst from their hiding place. Jin fired his gun into the air, while Hack swooped down toward the Vex. The aliens immediately turned toward the noise, raising their weapons. From the other side of the canyon, Ta, Su, Da, and Kun activated their disruptors and moved toward the ship. The devices worked. The Vex seemed confused, their movements becoming jerky and uncoordinated. Hack dive bombed one Vex, slashing at its face before soaring back up. The alien fired wildly, missing completely. Jin led the Vex away from the ship, drawing their attention with more shots. Meanwhile, Su reached the ship's entrance and began working on the control panel. Jin. Now. Ta called through the radio. Jin turned and sprinted toward the ship, Hack flying close above him. The Vex realized too late what was happening. The ship's door was open. Jin dove inside just as Su closed the door behind him. The engine hummed to life. I'm in, Jin said, breathing hard. Let's go hunting. The Vex transport ship rose through the clouds. Inside, Su worked quickly at the alien controls while the others watched the planet shrink below them. Can you fly this thing? Tai asked, gripping his seat as the ship shook. More or less, Su replied, her fingers moving across the strange control panel. Their systems are based on touch and chemical sensors. Good thing I studied their biology. Jin stood near the front window with Hack perched beside him. The bird seemed nervous in the small space, his wings twitching. Will he be okay? Dai asked, watching Hack with worried eyes. He doesn't like being trapped, Jin said, stroking Hack's feathers. But he'll manage. The ship broke through the planet's upper atmosphere. The blackness of space spread out before them. And there, floating like a giant black spider, was the Vex mothership. It's enormous, Kun whispered. The mothership was bigger than they had imagined. Its central body was round like a ball, with 8 long arms stretching out from it. Smaller ships moved around it like insects. "How will they not know we're not Vex?" Ty asked. Sue pointed to a screen showing strange symbols. "Each transport has a code. I copied the code from the ship's log. As far as they know, we're just returning from a hunt." The mothership grew larger as they approached. One of the 8 arms opened up, revealing a docking bay. Sue guided their stolen ship toward it. "Everyone ready?" Jin asked, checking his weapons. "Once we're inside, we split into 2 teams. Sue, Ty, and I will find the main control room. Dai and Kun, you plant the explosives in the engine area." "What about Hack?" Kun asked. Jin looked at his bird partner. "Hack goes his own way. He'll cause distractions." Hack made a sharp cry, as if agreeing with the plan. The ship landed with a soft thud. Through the window, they could see dozens of Vex moving around the docking bay. "Masks on," Jin ordered. Everyone put on breathing masks Sue had designed. They would filter the air and hide their human scent from the Vex. "Remember," Jin said, "move like you belong. Don't run unless you have to." They opened the ship's door and stepped out into the Vex mothership. The air felt thick and smelled like metal and something sweet. The gravity was lighter than on the planet, making each step feel bouncy. Jin nodded to Dai and Kun, who turned left toward the engine section. Then he, Sue, and Ta walked straight ahead, following Sue's directions from the ship's maps. Hack stayed hidden until they were away from the docking area. Then, with a screech that echoed through the ship, the bird launched into the air. Vex turned to look as Hack flew high into the vast open space at the center of the mothership. Alarms began to sound, high-pitched wails that hurt human ears. The Vex recognized an Earth creature in their ship. "That's our cue to move faster," Jin said. They ran now, no longer trying to blend in. Vex soldiers appeared in the corridors, but they were focused on the flying intruder. Hack led them on a wild chase, diving and soaring through the ship's vast interior. Jin, Sue, and Tai reached a large door marked with special symbols. "This is it," Sue said, working on the control panel. "The command center." The door slid open, revealing the circular room filled with Vex. At the center stood one larger than the others, its armor a deep red color. The Vex Queen Commander. All the Vex turned to stare at the humans. The Queen Commander made a high-clicking sound. "She's calling for guards," Sue whispered, understanding some of the Vex language. Jin raised his weapon. Ta did the same. They had come too far to turn back now. From somewhere above, Hack's screech echoed through the ship. The bird had not abandoned them. He was coming. The dance of predators had reached its final stage. The Vex Queen Commander rose to her full height. She stood a head taller than the other Vex, her red armor gleaming under the ship's lights. 4 arms reached for weapons at her sides. Jin didn't wait. He fired 3 quick shots at the nearest Vex guards. 2 fell immediately. The room erupted into chaos. Ta moved to cover Sue as she pulled a small device from her pack. "I need 30 seconds to upload the virus," she shouted over the noise. Jin nodded and stepped forward to face the Queen Commander. The alien leader made a strange sound, almost like laughter. "She recognizes you," Sue called, working on a control panel. "From the reports, you're the human who hunts with a bird." The Queen Commander spoke in clicks and hisses. Somehow, Jin felt he understood her meaning. "You are prey that thinks it's a predator." "No," Jin said, raising his gun. "I'm the predator you shouldn't have hunted." He fired, but the Queen Commander moved with surprising speed. Her armor deflected the shots. She lunged forward, all 4 arms reaching for Jin. Jin dodged the first attack, but a second Vex grabbed him from behind. Sharp claws dug into his shoulder. Pain shot through his body. Through the pain, Jin heard the sound he was waiting for. Hack's battle cry. The giant bird crashed through a vent in the ceiling, talons extended, wings spread wide. He slammed into the Vex holding Jin, tearing at its face with his beak. Jin broke free and turned to face the Queen Commander again. Blood ran down his arm, but he ignored it. Hack landed beside him, and together they faced the Vex leader. What happened next seemed to slow down for everyone watching. Jin and Hack moved as one being. The human and bird attacked in perfect coordination. When the Queen Commander swung at Jin, Hack struck from above. When she turned to fight the bird, Jin attacked her exposed side. It was a deadly dance they had perfected over years together. No words, no signals needed. Each knew the other's move before it happened. Virus uploaded. Sue shouted, "The ship's systems are shutting down." All around them, lights flickered. Alarms blared even louder. The Queen Commander realized what was happening. She roared in fury and charged at Sue. Jin threw himself in her path, firing his last shots at her face. The bullets cracked her armor and green fluid leaked out. Hack attacked from above, his genetically enhanced talons finding the weak spot between her armor plates. The Queen Commander fell to her knees, green blood pooling beneath her. Jin stood over her, breathing hard. "This is for the families you killed," he said, and fired one final shot. The ship shuddered around them. Ta grabbed Sue's arm. "Dai and Kun must have set the explosives. We need to leave now." They ran through the corridors, following Sue's directions back to the docking bay. Vex soldiers ran in all directions, confused by the failing systems and alarms. They reached the bay to find their transport ship guarded by Vex. From another corner, Dai and Kun appeared, firing at the guards. "Go!" Kun shouted. "We'll cover you." Jin, Tai, and Sue made it to the ship. Hack flew overhead, guiding Dai and Kun. Just as they reached the ship, a massive explosion rocked the mothership. Kun fell, hit by Vex fire. Dai grabbed him, dragging him the last few steps into the ship. "He's hurt bad," Daz said as Tai closed the door. Sue started the engines while Jin helped with Kun. The ship lifted off as the docking bay began to break apart around them. "Hold on," Sue shouted as she pushed the ship to full speed. They shot out of the mothership just as larger explosions began tearing it apart. The 8 arms broke off one by one as the central section glowed red with internal fires. From the ship's window, they watched the Vex mothership collapse in on itself. The threat was over. Hack landed on Jin's shoulder, his feathers brushing Jin's face. Jin stroked the bird's neck gently. "We did it, old friend," he whispered. "We showed them what real predators can do." Sue set course for home, toward the small colony that had once feared Jin and Hack. Now they would return as heroes. The dance of predators was complete.